What else does this mean? Because it will mean, first, for some, they think that some of the Chibok girls we are all looking for would have been taken into somewhere else. And it also means that these people also have their men around some of these communities. Put this, side by side with what has just happened in Borno State with the opening of some of these roads there by the governor. Does this mean anything to us as a people, knowing full well that some of them seem to have melted because having gotten into the forest, nothing much was recovered by the military in terms of arrest. What does this mean to us?
Well, Suleiman, I would say that the capturing of Sambisa Forest or Camp Zero, or what others would call Parisu, which is the headquarters of the Jamaat al-Analysing al-Dawat wal-Jihad or Boko Haram, it's a remarkable achievement, and we must commend the Nigerian military for that achievement. Like I said at the beginning, it's something that happened over a period. However, I think we must also acknowledge the fact that between 2014 up until late 2015, the group Jamaat al-Analysing al-Jihad became a transnational group. What do I mean by that? At the beginning, it was a Nigeria-focused group. All it was trying to achieve was, the creation of a Sharia enclave in northern Nigeria, more or less. But by late 2014, especially after it captured Goza, and it pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, it became a transnational group, more or less entering the global jihadist agenda. Now, the fact that just one aspect of that, the operation has been taken over, which is Sambisa Forest, unfortunately does not diminish their ability to carry out further attacks, especially since we know the border area between Nigeria and Chad, Nigeria and Cameroon, Nigeria and Niger is very vulnerable. If you look at the most recent attacks from, let's say, August up until now, most of the attacks that have been taking place have been happening around that northmost part of Borno, around the border of Borno State with Niger, especially the areas around Mobar, around Gambaru, Ngala, and several other areas on the borderline. Now, why is this happening? As you recall, there was an attempt by both the erstwhile administration of President Goodluck Jonathan and then the current administration of President Buhari to revamp the multinational joint task force and ensure that the capacity of our especially neighbors to block that border area and stop the crisscrossing of the terrorists in between the two regions, is enhanced. Unfortunately, that has not been, we've not seen that being done efficiently for a number of reasons. Firstly, funding. Nigeria is the richest country among the neighbors around that. So funding has been a huge issue. There is also an element of distrust. The countries need to agree around the issue of cross-border pursuits between their military. That hasn't been agreed to, unfortunately. And until we have that in place, then that multinational joint task force is not going to become effective.
So quickly,
now, coming back home to Nigeria, what type of operations have we seen the military carrying out? At the beginning of this administration, it inherited an operation that was unfortunately more defensive than offensive. Now, one of the good things that has changed is the fact that the operations have become very offensive. What do I mean by that? At the moment, there are about 3 major operations that are going on within Borno State alone, apart from the other smaller operations being carried out. Now, at the end of these operations, we're hopeful that a lot of these terrorists would have been rounded up, their supplies would have been blocked, and then even their morale, which for me is the biggest element of all of the victory by the Nigerian military. It has been able to dent the morale of the
Kabir, let me comment here quickly. Let me comment here because you talked about, you just mentioned how the Nigerian military changed its tactics, taking the fight to the terrorists, which actually paid off at the end of the day. But if you look at it, we have some other fleeing men of this group, and you also mentioned the morale. Going forward, which is one key thing that many Nigerians would love to hear from you, how can we sustain all of this, first as a people, and secondly, as the Nigerian military?
Okay, I would start from the military in the sense that they are leading the operations and they need to get the buy-in of the people. How do they get the buy-in of the people? I think we need a better communication strategy. There are several instances where the military had the opportunity to get the buy-in of the people, but unfortunately, I would say that has been mismanaged. Even with the recapture of the Sambisa forest, I believe it was an opportunity to bring in journalists, especially war journalists, who would have gone in together with them, taken these pictures, and then send it to the people. It's not too late. That can follow, and I think that will help get them the support that they need from the Nigerian people. The second element that I would also call on not only the military but the Nigerian government as a whole, including the parliament, that I believe should play a bigger role in this, is to address the grievances that may have given rise to the insurgency. A lot of studies around the world, not only in Nigeria, has shown that the most effective way to deal with terrorism is to address the grievances in the local population. Unfortunately, that is not being done. Unfortunately, this is not a place where I can delve into this topic, but I would call on the Nigerian government to go into this fully. The third element I will mention is the so-called soft approach to countering terrorism, or in other words, the CVE, countering violent extremism approach that the Nigerian government has embraced, but unfortunately is not implementing. It has about 4 elements, and all of these elements is meant at addressing the local concerns of the population within the affected regions, especially the northeast of Nigeria. Now that is what you get the buy-in of the people, and when you get the buy-in of the people, it means the people will support you.
I think if we have to continue, I know we will go on and on. But I must say this to you, Kabir. It's been fantastic having you on the show today, this evening. We're hoping that we can take this discussion into the new year, and we'll have you back on the program. It's been such a moment having you speak with us on politics today. Many thanks. We'll take a moment now. We'll return shortly.